Welcome back to the Endeavors AI podcast. I'm your host, Collin McKee, founder of Endeavors AI, where we talk about the intersection of artificial intelligence, law, business, and the new economy being built around all of it. My guest today works at one of the fastest moving edges of the legal world. Jacqueline Cooper is the CEO of the Blockchain Legal Institute, director of legal communications at DARA, the Digital Asset Regulatory Authority, a partner at Cogent Law Group, and the founder of Maryland Blockchain Association. Next month, she's convening Maryland Blockchain Week, 5 days bringing together a U.S. Senator, an SEC chairman, and leaders from policy, industry, and academia, all around blockchain and AI and the rules taking shape around both. She spent years practicing law in a space where those rules are still being written. And that's exactly why I wanted her here. Because if you want to know about how AI is going to land in a normal law firm, talk to someone who already lives in the future. I'll say this plainly up front. I'm not a blockchain expert in this conversation. Jacqueline is. I'm going to be your stand in today, asking the questions you would ask. And we're going to keep coming back to one thing, how AI is actually changing the world, not just in theory. So, Jacqueline, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to share with you things that are going on both in our community as well as within both of our worlds. So,
Excellent. Awesome. So let's get started. Let's start with you. Most people in your world came through either finance or computer science, but you came from education where you were a board certified teacher before all of this. So walk me through how you ended up as a lawyer in in the digital asset frontier.
yeah. So, I definitely, like many of us, have a career switch. I've used skills in one career, applied it to another. I always knew way from the start that I wanted to be a lawyer, but I also knew I was interested in science and tech. And I originally thought when I was a child, I was going to be a research scientist. That didn't happen. But my major in college was multidisciplinary. So it was science, technology, and society. So I was lucky to be able to have a major that allowed me to dabble in a lot of different areas. And that really kind of propelled when I ended up over 10 years ago learning about the blockchain technology, feeling comfortable with it because of the fact that the technology is really an infrastructure for many businesses now. And it's a tech tool that's evolving. And so there's a lot of policy that's being written about it now. So, it's really a mixture. And then, artificial intelligence is another tool that's been around for a while. And now it's getting more traction because of the way that technology evolves and it's becoming more accessible. And then when more people discover it, all of a sudden they see more application uses, but then you have more problems just because of how things intersect. So it's an interesting area. The education side came about because of being a single parent. I wanted to try to look at a alternative job area where I would have more time with her. And I have still stayed in the education space, but I'm a partner at Cogent Law Group in the blockchain space. So I haven't released either. I just kind of blended so that way I can kind of focus on my passion areas.
Huh? So when you started some time back, a lot of people in the profession didn't really take blockchain seriously.
Yeah.
So what did it feel like to, put deep expertise into something that most people were pretty dismissive about?
So most people associate blockchain with cryptocurrency. So most people, they first learn about it through Bitcoin or altcoins, Ethereum, that type of thing. So that's how I was introduced to it through a woman in Scotland that was talking to me about cryptocurrency. I had no clue really what that was. So I started doing education and for myself. And then I realized others needed to also be educated. And then I looked at what was the understructure of what cryptocurrency is and what tokens are. And that's where the blockchain education came about. So that's when I learned that there were a lot of other business use applications for the technology. The one that always comes to my mind first is FedEx because they're using it in a supply chain, but so is Walmart and others, McCormick Spice. So, again, sometimes you won't always know that the company might be using this infrastructure because basically it's just transfer information from one portal to another, but it's more secure and they can designate how and who And so, again, I'm not a technologist, but I am working with people who are.
So when it comes to AI specifically, and in your practice, and across the digital asset firms that you work with, when did AI stop being just a buzzword or a toy that people were playing with, and actually became something that was used within the work?
So I think there are many layers here. And that's actually one reason why the conference that you mentioned, which is coming up, I know next month is going to be tomorrow in many ways, the blockchain boot camp and workforce expo. And the way I spell blockchain for that conference is with an AI in it because it's already built within chain. And that's one of the reasons why I and the team created the boot camp because AI is evolving very fast as well as other innovative techs. And AI is overlapping with the use of blockchain, but AI also stands alone. And then you have different types of AI applications and tools. And then you also have privacy concerns. You have how do you train the AI for a business and keep that information private. And so again, within the business community, they're creating various tech tools so you can do that. And so within whether it's the healthcare side, real estate side, or the law side, law firms and lawyers might have started by using ChatGPT, but now they might be using Gemini, or they might be using Claude, or they might be using any of the other tools that are being developed. And they have to decide, okay, one, how trustworthy is it? And is it generic? And what kind of document do I use it with? Do I use it with any client information? How do I protect that client information? And then how do I translate it into whatever document that, we're trying to figure out? So there's a lot of applications going on. There's a lot of professional resources that are also now integrating AI into their tools. So I think it's important for every professional to ask the question. Actually, I'm going to step back. For every professional, lawyers included, to read the terms and conditions of the portals that you're clicking yes to because or even when you're on a Zoom or a community call of sorts, if someone lets an AI reader in, note taker, where is that information being housed? We have to slow down on saying yes, so that way we can do more research on where the information is being controlled or given because we have a responsibility. So yeah, so that's a long answer to that question.
No, it's a good one, and I think that leads well. I was probably going to ask later, but the education piece is very important, especially right now, because, laws change, and you need to get updated on your education there. The exponential way in which AI is changing, I feel even being immersed in it myself that I need to keep up with. I can't keep up with all of it, even if I would watch YouTube all day and read things. So talk a little bit about the CLE or continuing learning education that you're doing to try to keep up with this.
Yeah. So again, the blockchain, there's a few different entities that I'm fostering. The Blockchain Legal Institute is a centralized library of decentralized resources. But as you and I've talked about with the advent of AI, it's going to be changing a little bit, but the messaging will always be about vocabulary development. And we do global summits. So within the Blockchain Legal Institute, one of the things that I've really wanted to offer for a while is continuing legal education. And so at the Blockchain Bootcamp and Workforce Expo that I know you're going to have the links to, we are offering continuing legal education in a different way. So what I mean by that is we have a variety of professionals who are experts in this and are teaching the education so you can as a lawyer understand how does this benefit or not your clients. It's important even family attorneys to be able to understand what questions to ask to incorporate into wills, and if you're a divorce attorney, what questions to ask your clients because they might have digital asset. um, and then, so these continuing education classes are going to cover both AI on how to incorporate it into your law firm, as well as what is blockchain, what is the digital asset space, and how all this can, one, lead to new clients, but also support existing clients or support your business practice. Because obviously, everything we do takes time. And so if you can learn how to be a better service provider and more efficient in your time, then you can buy back your time basically, and also still continue to provide really good service to your clients and provide a balance to you. So the continuing legal education classes are being offered both at the event. You have to pre-register. You can get free tickets to attend a boot camp. That does not include the continuing legal education. But we're also going to be offering that continuing legal education, not just at the boot camp for two straight days so you can get your CLE credits. We're also going to do it in the fall. The other thing that we're offering is continuing legal education credits from European standpoint. So if you're doing any international trade, and we do have the ability to offer them bilingual, so in Spanish and English. So, and that's with another attorney who's an expert in the European trade area and MiCA and all that other good stuff. So these are classes that are definitely being offered. And we also have continuing education classes for real estate agents because they need CEs. And that is also being offered at the boot camp. And then for accountants. So if you need continuing professional development credits, we have another provider that is certifying the classes. And so all that's in process. And so, aside from the complementary education for anyone who doesn't require these Cs, you have the ability to be at these workshops and get the credits that you need for your professional. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love the buyback time, statement. I hear it. I live by it. I've, read some books on it. And I think it's very, very true. But if you go out, you know, let AI run wild to try to buy back your time, you can learn pretty quickly that your time is wasted in trying to fix mistakes, or you're caught in a court case. These things are pretty high stakes, which is the environment that you work in. You operate in highly regulated, high stakes, confidential compliance. There's money involved. So has there been an instance where you've seen, because I like to get the good and bad and the ugly on AI, where AI has burned you? I mean, we've heard some stories, but anything personally, either for you or someone close to you, where AI and misusing it or not using it in a disciplined way has burned? Do you have any stories you could share along those lines?
Not really, even though I know that there are stories of attorneys who, have offered to the court certain things and they didn't read the fine footprint of what has been, you know. But I guess I know in using AI and creating documents, whether it's for my association or for anything else that I do, I've seen, what's the word I'm looking for? Fake information built in. So,
I
hey everyone. So we were talking about the impact of AI and the mistakes that were made. And what I've seen is that sometimes within AI documents, there's, I wouldn't say fraudulent, but fake information that's there. And especially if you are doing multiple documents in a single chat instead of creating separate windows for information. Depending upon the tool that you're using, sometimes it can't decipher that you're starting a new thread of thought. So, again, with it, and this goes back to whether you're using it for client information, for general information. So it does make sense that with certain tools, whether it's Gemini, Claude, or whatever, that you think about, okay, one, am I using real people's information in there? And two, even if I'm not, how am I separating out the work product so that way, one, you can go back to it so you're not duplicating, because we have both talked about saving of time, but also how do we then download it to personalize it? So, I mean, that's the other thing is you can create generic documents and then you can move them over to a different home that is within your maybe law firm's, space. And then that's where you would take it and personalize it with the client information. So you have to think about, okay, what's the purpose of the tool that you're using? How much of it is giving you factual information? How do you cross-check it against multiple documents to make sure? And this is true anytime that you're doing research, you should always double verify everything. So, but how do you make sure that it's actually truthful and not fake?
So there's a lot there to unpack, a lot of all good advice. But is there, like, if you had to be brief 1, 2 word or 2 sentence advice for someone to not cross this line with the tools? What's one clear, delineation? Make sure you don't do this ever.
The detail of the information that you're putting into that AI tool because of the fact that you do not know where it is going to be seen. And unless you actually have a dedicated server where you're controlling the content and it's sandboxed in your own work environment, almost everything can be accessible by everyone everywhere. And if in the development of the tool, the AI tool, there's a window, that someone is sophisticated enough to know how to access, then they can access it. So again, and that jumps into the quantum side. We are limited with our current knowledge as to what the future, and we talked about this at the very beginning. We don't know what the future AI is going to be able to crack. So there's always good and there's always bad individuals, and the criminals are always looking at new ways to use these tools too. So don't just think that it's the good that are looking and using these. There are individuals and countries that are using these for not always good information. So unfortunately, I think we need to be thinking as the naysayer to protect. And then it's like bringing that umbrella to the picnic, and then you won't have to use it.
The analogy. So, and that's a good segue to this question, which is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. Say I'm one of those people that's very fearful, standoffish, not that technically savvy. AI is here. It's not going anywhere. It's almost table stakes. In your opinion, where should someone go first, you know, to acclimate themselves with AI? Because in my opinion, and I assume you share it, AI is something that we all need to be aware of, teach, train ourselves about, and exercise, get some reps in with so we know how to use it.
Yeah, I
Where
agree
should
with
people start?
I mean, I'm new to Claude and I'm really enjoying it. But I'm like in kindergarten right now. So, and I had to have someone, show me how to kind of add certain of the platforms so I could actually access, and they let me struggle so that way I could kind of learn. I think everyone needs to understand that we cannot ignore it. Like we could not ignore the internet when it first started. It is here. And if you are in a workspace, you need to learn how to use the tools because it's not going to replace you, but it will make you more efficient. And like, for example, I did a pre-book for the conference. I used Claude. I put my website links in there. I said, create a book so I could have note-taking papers for the students that are going to be watching this virtually. It came up and created a beautiful book. 300 pages. All I had to do was sit and watch it while it was thinking and it was telling me what it was doing. And then all of a sudden it created this PDF. It was great. So we need to learn the strengths of what these tools can do for us and how it can save us time because everyone has something that's taking a lot of time. And so if you figure out what your pain point is and you ask, okay, what tool can save me that time, then you are able to kind of while you're learning, you're actually getting a product or something that will help you. You don't have to, like you said, bite off the whole apple. You just take one small bite in something that will help you in your work area or your personal life. And another thing that I used AI for is to help me summarize my emails. Because I get so many in. So just there, and you can ask the AI, what are you good for? It will tell you. But it's like just use it with, like a car. You're driving it and you're in control of it and just be aware of what it can do.
So you've got a lot going on. You're building an AI and digital asset task force inside DARA. Maryland Blockchain Week, that's July 13th through the 17th, has a whole track on AI and autonomous agents. So without giving us a sales pitch, tell us about kind of the synopsis there. What do you see coming that firms should get ahead of and be aware of?
No, you know what? That's a really good point. And I'm glad you brought up the AI agentic task force and digital asset. We don't always know where AI agents in commerce are going to land. They're being embedded within commerce in gentle ways that will speed up a lot of the payment structures. And for example, when Amazon first started, who knew where it was going. I mean, it went from books to this huge marketplace. I would have no doubt that it's going to, and this is not any breaking news because I have not talked to them, but I would have no doubt that at some point they are going to be embedding AI agent commerce within their platform. It makes sense because of the fact that stable coins are being integrated on different pay rails right now. And that is also because it saves money for people. And if you're in business, you have to figure out, okay, how do I save money so I can allocate that money to somewhere else? So that's what the purpose of the task force are. That's what the purpose of the conference is really to give individuals an overview as to what's going on around the world because collectively I've been to many conferences and the various entities that I'm co-managing are for helping people to kind of put it all together because they're like you said, you can't watch YouTube all day. And even going to our boot camp, it's just the tip of the iceberg, but at least it gives you resources as to where.
And so, in your limited experience so far with Claude and with these tools, where, in your opinion, is a great place to start for someone who's, you know, let's keep it in the law field. Is there? Uh,
So I would say that a lawyer can do a comparison run if you want to. You can put the same question into three different platforms. And again, you can choose which platforms. I'm using Chat, I'm using Gemini, I'm using Claude. You can choose whatever ones you want. Again, there are a lot of them out there. And you can see the different results. And then you can decide, okay, based upon the responses, which one should I maybe use for different tasks that I want. And this is important not just for the lawyer, but for the support staff. And so it's also important for you as the managing partner in a law firm to ask the support staff, are you using any of these tools on any of our communications? The reason why you need to ask that is because you have a liability and responsibility. If you don't know what the tools are that your staff is using, it could cause you problems. And so it's important to have it top down and bottom up and have it full circle in terms of knowledge. So you do need to start somewhere and decide with your staff as to where you want to go. There's a lot of free education out there. There's a lot of free platforms, and then there's the paid. Start free, decide if you want it. Don't get hooked into the paid stuff yet. Make sure that you actually are going to use it. Otherwise, you're going to run your costs up a lot.
Great advice. Yeah, you need to be aware, and you should. I mean, you've got policies on so many different things. Unfortunately, I've heard some scary stories that some firms don't have any kind of policy when it comes to AI use, and that's a scary place to be. People need to
Yeah,
know what they can and
I
can't do.
would I would say don't exclude, the use of AI in your company, but have someone be the touch point for where that AI question is going to go. So that way you can have a relative point of expert who can do the research on questions that might be asked. Because if you don't stay in the game of knowledge of what the tech is changing, then you're going to be out of the game. And the other thing is your clients might be using AI and your clients might be sued or have problems because of the AI that they're using. So you're going to need to be knowledgeable about what they're doing too, so you can give them advice. And so again, it's not just for the company's four walls. You're also looking at how do you support the clients, and they might have questions too. And they might need policies written. And then you also have the other challenge. We're not just a geographically restricted entity anymore. Law firms, if you are thinking that all you do is practice in one state or one country, you don't. If you're using AI, you might be actually touch pointing other communities. So you need to be thinking about, okay, if you happen to communicate with someone who might be a new client or inquiring in a different country and your privacy policy or other conditions, again, the Europe has different AI policy, you know, and so UK. So you need to be aware of what's going on around the world.
Great points, Jacqueline Cooper. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. How do people follow your work? We'll leave all the links in the show notes, but anything that you want to call out specifically?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. I do have two different profiles on LinkedIn, and also under Twitter. I would say find Blockchain Legal Institute, BLI.tools. So that way you can have all the access to some of the visual content that we have. And definitely if you are in Maryland or the DMV, or even if you're not, follow the Maryland Blockchain Association, because really we're doing international work as well. And obviously, everyone who hears this before the Blockchain Bootcamp, you are welcome to come and enjoy. We're here to support you. And that's why, Colin, I'm really thankful for what you're doing.
Of course. Thank you. And for any of those listening, if you're wondering where your own firm stands or your business with AI, and whether you're exposed, behind, want to move, want to keep up, that's exactly what we try to do at Endeavors AI. Work with small firms and businesses for AI readiness, to do it in a responsible way, to fill gaps, build workflows, and what have you. So reach out. We're at endeavorsai.com. I'm Collin McKee. This is Jacqueline Cooper. Thank you very much for your time. This has been the Endeavors AI podcast, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.